All right, ladies, gentlemen, gamers, and everyone else, welcome back. Welcome back to another commentary video. So, today, I had this very random idea. In my ever expansive quest to understand why I am what I am and why we are what we are, I thought of something. The idea that this came from, or the way I got this idea, is a little weird, but bear with me. Basically, I thought to myself, we view ourselves pretty differently from regular animals, right? Humans are animals. We're in the animal kingdom. We're highly evolved animals, but nonetheless, we are animals. We are very related to chimps, but just in general, we are living, breathing animals. Unless we came on a space rock or something. We're here, we're on this earth, we evolved like all the other ones. Just something was a little different that put us ahead, and that's our brain. But, despite being better, we act like we are way more superior than animals. Even though I personally think we are more alike than we think. Now, what do I mean by this? Inherently, it's not bad what I'm saying here. It is true. Humans are better than animals, right? There's a reason we're the apex predator of the earth. The only thing that really hunts us is polar bears, and that's kind of one, because they haven't been around us too long to really learn that they should fear us, and two, because they're hungry because their food sources are disappearing from global warming. But that's, besides the fact. Aside from pretty much polar bears, everything else on the planet is like scared of us, or if they hunt us, they're gonna get extincted pretty much. Nothing is above humans. So I'm not saying it's wrong that we think we're better, but we kind of think it in a way of we're vastly different. Like, the difference between animals and us is really big. And while there are a lot of differences, right, we have a very complex breadth of knowledge and emotion. We're not far off in other ways, right? For instance, take chimps and humans. Chimps and humans are very similar. I think we share something across the lines of 99% of our DNA or something like that. And that 1% is what makes us human, what makes chimps below us. But chimps are really smart. I think they've entered like a stone age or something, or some shit like that. They've started using tools. They are evolving. Other animals on this earth are evolving, just not as fast as us and not as complex as us. But chimps are, they're getting there. But we view ourselves as vastly superior, right? And for a long time, I held this belief, and I still do. I still think we are vastly superior in animals in a lot of ways, but I've been sort of changing my mind on just growing up and learning more, but also seeing what animals are capable of. We never knew that animals could have PTSD and have as complex societies as they do. Elephants mourn their dead. A lot of other animals mourn their dead too, but the one that comes to mind is elephants. And aside from that, I think it wasn't the honey badger. I believe it's either I think it's the meerkat. The meerkat or some fucking rodent that burrows and gets preyed on by hawks. It has the most complex language of any animal, right? Let me actually look up the most complex language. Most complex animal language, because I really don't want to get this wrong. It's prairie dogs. They have the most sophisticated vocal language ever recorded. Which is like, wow. You would think prairie dogs are fucking dumb, right? They don't know how to do shit. Animals know how to do more than we give them credit for a lot of the times. This was a thing I held in hard belief that, animals are just dumb. They don't really understand much, but they understand more than we think, right? So, aside from all that, I kind of got reminded of this today, or I kind of thought about this, right? This whole idea. We're not even into the idea yet, mind you. This is just the interlude to the idea. So essentially what happened was about, what time is it? About 1 hour ago, at this time, I was at the park. I was running. And as I was running, I saw two birds flying together, right? And as I saw these two birds, which I assumed to be seagulls flying together, I thought, wow, they must be together, right? Like, they must be like, mated. I don't know the intricacies of seagull mating rituals. I don't know if they stay with the mate. I don't know if they split off. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they were two guys, I don't care. They could roll how they want to roll. But I thought of this, maybe not with seagulls specifically, but just in general in the animal kingdom. I thought, as humans, a lot of the stuff we do in society is pretty much learned, right? And this is kind of where we think we're above other things, and it comes with instinct versus societal norms. So, these animals I questioned, right? Assuming my idea was correct, it doesn't even have to be with the seagulls I mentioned, but I just assumed it was correct with them. I thought, wow, these seagulls, they're together, they're probably taking care of their young if they have any, or like, they're getting food. How do they know how to do these things? Aside from the very early years of their life, where they're fed from like, the mama seagull or whatever the fuck happens, they're not really taught in any traditional hard capacity like humans are. Humans are taught in a very specific, rigorous way. At least you would hope with our education system. But even though it's not like that. But humans are very specifically taught. If we're left on our own, we're kind of savages. We can still make things work. We're still pretty smart. But at that point, we're way closer to a chimp than we think without learning, right? Even though that later in life, there have been cases of humans, being disconnected from society. I remember there was a guy who lived in the fucking forest with his dad, disconnected from society, and even he knows some like he was getting reacquainted with society. Obviously not fully, but you could also say the dad taught him. But humans still have a greater capacity to get back in it, even from being without it. I mean, that's not skipping any generations. So maybe if you leave us in the wild for a couple generations, maybe we'll really become rabid. But regardless, I digress. So essentially, right? I thought, how do these birds know what to do? It's through instinct. How was instinct made, right? Just what is instinct? It's something that you know. It's something that you don't get taught, but you just know because your ancestors did it, your species did it for a long time, and it worked. And because it worked, it got ingrained in our DNA. Obviously, that's like the layman's way of explaining it. There's probably way more depth to it that I don't probably even know. Well, I know I don't know. It's weird. I know I don't know this thing. But there's a lot more to instinct than, what I'm saying. But at a general level, it's something that you just know because you are your race, right? Monkeys will know how to grab a branch. Even humans know this too. Human babies know instinctively, through instinct, to grab onto something that's close to their hands, because human babies, and I learned this in high school was good for something after all, human babies that grabbed onto their moms had a higher likelihood of surviving. So that was ingrained into our instinct, right? Animals are way more reliant on instinct because they cannot be traditionally taught. These birds, right, these two seagulls I saw, how do they know how to care for a young? How do they know when to get together and whatnot? Obviously, you could go into hormonal stuff too, right? But it's also a big part of instinct. How do they know these things? They just know because it's what's been done. So at that point, they already have this template. And often I forget that, right? Often I forget, I'm a part of the animal kingdom. I'm a part of like having instinct too. Although most of the time humans, because we are on our high horses, rightly so in some ways, we often think like, oh, we're so different from animals. We're evolved. Instinct is something base, something we don't need, something that's not a part of us. We use our brains. We think about everything. And I don't think that's necessarily the case fully. Obviously, there's a give and take, but humans more than not, we do use our brains, or at least I'd like to think so. We use our brains for more complex things than just relying on instinct. But instinct does have its biases in us. It does have its effects that we don't really see, right? So the only other thing aside from instinct that everything shares is observation, right? You see and you learn. I think birds do that too, but like I said, mostly for animals here, I believe instinct has the higher percentage of that's what they rely on than just observation and learning on the fly. So again, how does this relate to humans, right? How much are we affected by instinct? And then even after that, how cognizant are we of it, right? We might be affected by instinct. We might think we're not, but we are. But at that point, how do we test it? We use scientific method? I don't know. I mean, this isn't something that's very easy to test for in a sense. It's sort of confirming itself if we look for it in a way. But I digress. So essentially what I ask, right, is I think we are shaped by instinct, and I'll give you the perfect example. And I can say this as a fellow man. The common joke is, right, Men stare at sexy women. You know, we like staring at boobie. We like staring at buttock. Why do we do this? Why do we like staring at this, right? We like staring at this. Not only because we're men. Well, you know, because we're men. Not only because we're men, but even that in and of itself, I would like to argue, is through instinct. Now, what do I mean by this? Our historic ancestors, the men who stared at boobie and stared at butt, they got with the women because they like boobie and they like butt, and women who had big boobie and big butt got with men. You know, men went after them, they got with them, and they were better suited to having children, I guess. That's at least the common theory, or a part of the joke, right? I'm not trying to offend anyone, I'm not trying to step on the gender people's toes. But that's, I think, from what I heard, what happened, and it's also according to the joke. So at that point, can you blame men for being horny animals? Well, you know, to an extent, obviously. Again, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I want to get canceled, even though I have no audience. But at that point, one of the arguments that men make as a joke is, oh, you know, this is just natural to me. This is like historically what the human race has evolved with. So how can you blame me because I'm just like this naturally? This was good back in the day. I can't control having this. It was ingrained in us. It's a biological and evolutionary reason that it's there, right? So basically, how much can we be blamed for our instinct? What is instinctual versus what is societally learned? I think that's a pretty easier question to answer. I'm not going to answer that now, but it's just something I thought of, like recently, like, you know, animals, how do they know how to do all this shit? Oh, it's through instinct, right? It's because they evolved to know this. Oh, how do we know how to do this shit? Oh, we learn because we teach each other. Hopefully, right, but not really. But we also do know things from instinct. Prime example, men looking at women, right? It's natural. It's what's ingrained in us. No one needs to teach us that if we look at a butt, our pee-pee goes up. Now, whether that butt is a man or a woman, you know, that's up to the person. But in general, I often thought about, I recently thought about this. How much of an effect does this really have on us? But yeah, that was pretty much my idea. I just wanted to share it, maybe open up people's eyes and entertain someone, you know, the usual shit, get my mind off the dark thoughts. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any other things you want me to talk about or any critical ideas you want me to go over and react to, or anything at all, I need video ideas. Please tell me in the comments. Please, please, please. I stream every single day at Twitch TV/Tecnics channel. Come over there. Chill out. AFK in my stream. I need viewers. Help me out. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed.